Most business owners aren't achieving their financial goals because they're wasting their time doing low-level tasks every single day. And so in this video, I'm going to be walking you through something I created called the Business Activity Audit, which is essentially going to be helping you understand where all of your time is going and how to delegate, outsource, or stop doing the things that are not high value activities in your business so that you could be able to become more profitable while not working more at the same time. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, starting off, before we even get into the audit process, we need to understand where we want to go. So then when you start going through the audit process, you could understand the baseline of where you are now to where you actually want to go. And so when we're looking at what our time is worth overall based on what we want to actually earn, we have to do some math here. And so I'm going to give just a few numbers here on this doc so that you guys can have just a rough idea. And for you math crazy people out there, I am rounding on this. I'm trying to make this, just super easy to understand. So let's look at this as, imagine that you're going to be working 40 hours a week. As a business owner, we had laughed because we all know we work more than that. If we're going to be working 40 hours a week, over an entire year, if you, work out the math with a couple weeks vacation, you're on average going to need, if you want to, let's say, for example, achieve a goal of earning $1 million a year, you're going to need to be able to be earning $500 an hour. Okay. If your goal is $500,000 a year, you're going to need to be earning $250 an hour. Let's say the goal is, $250,000 a year. You are going to need to be at about $125 an hour. And obviously you can just continue working this backwards. And the reason we're starting here is that we want to know where we want to go. And I talk to a lot of business owners and they say, Cody, I want to earn $1 million a year, 500 grand a year, 250 a year. Yet they're doing tasks that are so low level and wondering why they're not achieving their target. They're not achieving their goal. And it comes down to this exercise we're going to go through. So I just wanted to set the stage here for, based on what is your time actually worth and where, what do you want to be doing? If you want to make $1 million a year, you need to be doing $500 an hour activities to achieve that. So let's go ahead and open up our business audit doc here and go through it together. If you want to get a copy of this, and you could, download this and do the exercise alongside me, you can go ahead and do that. If you go in the description below, there's a resource section where you can get access to this activity document here and go through it. So what I'm going to do is just do a few quick examples on here just to give you the context behind how to do this. Also go through the best practices of, as you're doing it, how long should you dedicate towards filling this out? Should you have your team do this? If so, what frequency? And some other items like that. Now, when we're looking at our business activity inventory audit sheet right here, when you open this up, you're noticing right here, it says you're going to be making a list of all of the things that you could think of that you're doing on a daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, any of the things that you could think about that you're spending time doing. And that's where you're going to just start listing those things out in tasks here. I just had a quick example that's just on our template here, which is, let's say that it's a sales rep and they're following up with leads. The area of the business is sales. So, as you're going through this and you're adding items, the area of the business that you're spending the time in, you're going to want to add that here. So obviously the task of following up with leads falls under sales. And, obviously, as you look at the other tasks or the other areas of business, marketing, ops, finance, HR, recruiting, building your team, leadership, leading meetings, running team meetings, you're leading your team, you're doing one-on-ones with your team, you're leading your team. You're going to be doing a self-reflection on this, which is basically when you look at this, on the key here, ICEU, you're going to be basically rating yourself of, are you incompetent at this? Are you competent? Are you excellent? Or is this within your unique ability? Because the goal on this is for you to understand where are you spending your time, and based on the things that you're doing, the things that you're good at, and the things that are your unique ability are typically going to be some of the things that you want to do more of. And then, you're doing your best guess at how many hours a week would you say that you spend on this individual task? And so for some of the things, it's like, well, Cody, I only do that, once a month. Well, just put on there. Maybe it's, if you had to break it down based on the amount of time you spent, maybe it's 30 minutes or it's 1 hour, on a weekly basis if you looked at it over a month, whatever that might be. Then what we want to do is take our best educated guess at what dollar per hour that type of activity is. And spoiler alert, most of the things that are, general administrative, things like bookkeeping, responding to emails, things like, a lot of tasks like that, very low dollar an hour, $10, $15, $20 an hour type of tasks that are being done. And you could use tools like Chat GPT to be able to ask it questions like, what would someone, typically earn per hour to do this type of task if you really are stuck? But again, you're making some of your best educated guesses of what that dollar per hour for the marketplace would pay to have that type of task done. Then we're not quite at this stage yet, but just want to go over the key here, which is you're at the end of this exercise, you're going to be identifying whether you need to stop doing a certain task and it just needs to be stopped just overall. And then if you're going to delegate a task, so that would be me delegating to somebody maybe that I already have at my company to another person on my team, or whether you need to outsource it. What's the difference between delegate and outsource? Well, outsourcing is going to be outsourcing to maybe a marketing agency, some sort of HR agency, just another company that's not a team member within your company doing the thing. You're outsourcing it to another organization to help you do the thing. Those are going to be, the end result. And then obviously everything that you don't mark stop, delegate, or outsource are going to be the things that you continue doing in your business. And as you fill this out, like let's just put a few things on here. So let's say I'm doing my bookkeeping for the business, kind of incompetent at it, but it has to be done. Let's say I spend 2 hours a week doing that. I'll tell you this, it's literally not that high dollar of an activity. Let's say I'm responding to emails, and that's, kind of operations because I'm organizing things. I'll say, I'm fine at it. I get it done, but, nothing special there. And if I think about it, maybe I don't do this because I have an executive assistant that manages my emails, but let's say pre-executive assistant Cody, I was spending maybe hour and a half to hour and a half a day. So let's just say, 5 to 7 hours a week. Let's call it 6 hours a week on that. Again, not a very high value task. Let's just say it's $15 an hour. Let's think of another task. Here I am making a YouTube video. Let's say that's for marketing, because you as the person watching this video, this might be something that adds value to you and your business, makes a positive difference, and it causes you to want to get involved in the Scale with Pros mastery program that I have, or work with us on a one-on-one basis to help you scale your business. That in this video I make one time and will be out there in the ether of the interwebs forever. I wouldn't say I'm great at these yet. I'm always working to get better. And then the amount of hours I dedicate a week to scripting and then actually recording videos and content. So I'm going to put YouTube videos and podcast. Recordings. Those all kind of fall in that bucket of marketing, getting new leads. And I typically spend about 8 hours a week doing that, between scripting, recording, and making sure that they get published. I don't do the publishing, but just overseeing the team doing that. I would say a $500 an hour activity for me. That's why I'm doing this video, and that's why I'm doing videos consistently. Because the thing is, this is a very highly leveraged activity that I'm doing, that I could get one client that pays us a bunch of money, or we can get, multiple members joining our Scale with Pros community from a video that I made one time, or other videos that I made one time. And so it's a very, very highly leveraged activity that I could be doing. And as I'm going through this, I'm just trying to give you some examples of some things that you could be doing. Let's say one-on-ones with my team. That's something I do with my direct reports. I have another YouTube video on my channel showing you how to do one-on-ones. If that's something that you aren't already doing, you need to start. I'm going to put that under leadership, because I see that as I'm leading my team. And so that's, where I'm doing in that. And so I typically spend about 5 hours a week doing that. And that Again, I would say that's probably more of like a $250 or $250 plus. Could be arguably more, arguably less, but I'm putting it at 250 because I could hire another CEO to run our companies at some point. I don't think I'd have to pay them $1 million a year, but maybe they're making 500 grand a year between salary and bonus and profit share and all of those things, right? So I'll put it at 250 an hour because someone else could do that as well. Let's see. So one-on-ones, let's say team meetings, our L10 meetings, which are basically just our meetings where we're going over performance of the company on a weekly basis. What's working, what's not working, what do we need to change, what are our to-dos, what's done, what's not done, what are our issues, how do we solve those, and how do we move forward into that next week? What are our KPIs? One-on-ones with my team, I'll say that's my unique ability, and I am great at that. Missed that one before. Team meetings, L10, I would say I'm excellent at running those, but I don't necessarily, I'm actually not involved in as many of them. I have multiple companies, but I don't get on every L10 each week. I typically only am getting on about 3 of the company's L10s each week. So that's about 3 hours a week. And on that, again, I am the CEO, so I could hire someone else to do that and facilitate those instead of me. So I'm not going to, bore you to death with going through every single line of all of the things that I'm doing daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, but I just wanted to give some examples. So as you start going through this, you're able to do the same. And the key here is you want to do this typically on a quarterly basis. So I set up in my Google Calendar just a quarterly reminder where I'm going to redo my activity inventory. And the reason for this is I always want to be focusing on delegating things that aren't high value and then focusing my time on things that are high value. And so that's where I want to be focusing time. So when we look at our results, we have this little pie chart for you. And when we're looking at this, the interesting thing is this is going to help you understand for yourself as the business owner, or when you have your team do this, when you see the allocation on a percentage basis of time that you're spending in your business, are you okay with that or are you not? Because one of the most common things that I find is when people fill out this activity inventory, they find themselves spending a lot of time doing things that they didn't realize they're spending their time on. Like, let's just say on here, for example, I'm just going to make up an example on here, but maybe I'm looking at finance and that's 6% of my time. And maybe my companies are struggling, from a management of finance. Well, maybe one of the things I need to take from this exercise is that maybe I need to spend more time, looking at the financials, meeting with my finance team. Maybe I need to allocate more time to that. Or let's say, for example, my marketing, I'm not getting enough leads for my business and I'm not converting enough of the leads that I do get. And my marketing, let's say, wasn't 25%. Let's say it was 6% like for finances. Well, there's no surprise that should be there, because if I'm not having my time and attention going to bringing more leads into the business or converting more of those sales into the business, either through myself or working with my marketing and sales team for them to be able to do that, that's, a realization that you're going to find through your audit. As you're going through each of these areas, you can look at, okay, if I'm just looking at finance, and you can kind of see each of these. You'll have the list of how many tasks are going in that specific area. That is what you're, essentially going through on here, is understanding, each area of the business, where are you spending that time, so that you can make more confident decisions. And really the review of this is, okay, once you're done with it, it's asking yourself, am I okay with where my time is going? And when we go back to at the beginning of this video where I was talking about, if you want to be earning $1 million a year, you need to be doing, $500 an hour activities. And if we go back to our activity inventory sheet and we recognize that most of our tasks are very low dollar an hour, that is what is going to be causing you to not be earning more money, because you're focusing on small stuff in the business that isn't really driving the needle. So this is to help you drive the needle more. And then when you have your team do this exercise, it's for you to understand, where are they allocating their time? Like if you hire somebody to be doing, your sales management, and there's 0% of their time is in leadership, where they're coaching their team, they're helping their team through one-on-ones, they're doing sales meetings to help make them better, helping them with their goals, that could be a red flag there. If you have somebody that's in marketing and they're not spending any time, meeting with the sales team, and they're not spending any time getting feedback on how the lead quality has been from the sales team, and they're not getting any feedback from the operations team in their day-to-day activity, how they're enjoying working with the clients that they're bringing in. Are these our ideal avatar? Are these the right type of people that we want in the business? And that would be just, a red flag that comes up if you're reviewing a marketing team member's activity inventory. So just a few things that you're going to be looking at when you're going through this exercise. And really, again, the purpose of this is, identifying the areas of where you're spending your time, asking yourself, do I want to spend the time here? If not, where am I going to reallocate that time? And who am I going to give some of these things to? Like, let's say bookkeeping, I'm going to outsource that to a fractional bookkeeper. Like, that's a waste of your time. Business owner, if you are doing your bookkeeping, that is a very stupid activity for you to be doing. You should be giving that to someone else. Responding to emails, maybe at some point you're ready to hire an executive assistant. I have another video on my channel where I give you my exact template of how my executive assistant manages my emails and does all of that. You can check that out. But that's something that I would want to be delegating. Like for me, I would definitely have delegated that in this case. My YouTube videos and podcasts, not going to delegate that. High value, high leverage activity for me to do that. So I'm going to continue doing that, because I can make a significant amount of money from people watching these videos and then coming and working with my team for us to help them scale their companies. One-on-ones with my team, not going to outsource that. Same thing with team meetings. I have, though, between the companies that I own and manage, I have about 6 L10 meetings that happen on a weekly basis. And you notice I only have 3 hours of meetings of these because I only am involved in 3 of them. The other 3 are delegated to someone else, my head of operations that runs those. If I wanted to, and I was like, I don't want to work anymore and I'm ready to just, sit around and do nothing all day, which I would never do. I could always hire a CEO, or even at some point, have my head of operations run those other 3 meetings, and then I just don't have to be in those anymore. These 3 particular companies, I'm really working directly closely with to help them grow and scale. So that's why I'm involved in those particularly. So that is why I'm keeping. That's why I would be keeping those on there. But I would delegate if I was ready to pass those things off. And then if I did pass, that off, obviously, then I would delegate my one-on-ones too. So that in a nutshell is the business activity inventory audit, and how you can utilize this to buy back more of your time through delegating to the right team members and be increasing the profits that you take home because you focus on the things that matter the most. And by the way, if you're at a point in your business where you're looking to scale and truly turn your company into a high profit, self-managing company, what I want you to do is go ahead and look at the link in the description below and book a call to talk with my team, where we're going to break down where your business is at based on where you are today and where you want to go, and show you exactly what it looks like to turn your company into that high profit self-managing company. So with that being said, click the link below and we'll see you in the next video.